So hi, today I am going to teach you priority scheduling algorithm. Okay, let me start. Today I am going to teach you priority scheduling algorithm. Okay, and also some important questions are left of round robin algorithm, FCFS, SRTF algorithm, but don't worry, I will solve all the questions. Okay. But let me finish this topic CPU scheduling algorithm first. After that, I will take the question one by one from the GATE previous year's paper and I will solve those questions. Okay. So now let me start this priority scheduling algorithm. Okay. So as you can see, there are two types of priority scheduling is divided into two parts: non-preemptive and preemptive. Okay, non-preemptive and preemptive. But actually, what is priority scheduling algorithm? Here, what happens? The CPU is assigned to the process on the basis of their priority. On the basis of the priority means what? Here, if the process have higher priority, then CPU will be allocated to that process. Okay. Suppose there are 4 processes in the ready queue. All the processes have been arrived and they are in the ready queue. So here we will see which process has the highest priority, and on the basis of that the CPU will be given to those processes. So it's simple. Okay, but there are some chances of calculation mistakes in these questions. So be very careful while solving these questions. Okay, and how will you will come to know about the priority, which process has the higher priority? How you will come to know? With in the question they will give you a priority number. You see in this table the processes are given P1, P2, P3, P4, arrival time, burst time, and you see they are correspondingly priority numbers are also given 2, 0, 3, 1, 4. Okay, so with the help of this priority number, you can find out that which process have higher priority. So generally, what we take if the priority number is lower, then the priority is higher. This is the general assumptions that we take. It means what? Here the lowest priority number is 0. It means what? 0 corresponds to the process P2. It means what? P2 has the higher priority. Okay. After that, P4 has the higher priority. In this way we take, but in the examination they will definitely give you. They may in the question they may mention that the process with lower priority number will be given higher priority, or if they will give the process with lower priority number will be given lower priority, then you have to solve the question accordingly. So carefully read the question. Okay, read one by one and after that start solving. Okay, just don't blindly take this assumption that the process with lower priority number will be given higher priority. No, everything will be there in the question. Okay. So now let's solve this question. So I have told you that there are two types of scheduling algorithms: non-preemptive and preemptive. So let me first solve this using non-preemptive version. Okay, after that I will come to preemptive. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 processes are there. So let's draw the Gantt chart. Here I will draw the Gantt chart. Is it visible? I think yes. Okay. Yes. I'll start from here. Actually, I don't know how much space it will take, but let me start from this point. I guess it's visible to all. Okay. So you see, at arrival time 0, P1 has arrived. So without any doubt, just write here P1, because P1 has arrived at zeroth second or millisecond, whatever there in the question. Okay. And look at the burst time of P1. It is 11 seconds. Okay. Now, you see at 0th second, since P1 has arrived, so don't look about the other processes because none of the processes have arrived except P1. You see, P2 has arrived at 5th second, P3 has arrived at 12th second, P4 has arrived at 2nd second, and P5 has arrived at 9th second. So, till 2nd second, you don't have to look for any other process. Okay. So, at 0, P1 has arrived. So, since it's a non-preemptive version, so P1 will be, here P1 will execute fully till 11th second. Okay. Here CPU, here P1 will not leave the CPU until it's get finished. Okay. So here from 0 to 11, process P1 executed. So the task of P1 is over. Now you see within these 11 seconds, how many processes arrived? P2 arrived at 5th second, P4 arrived at 2nd second, and P5 arrived at 9th second. So how many processes are available? We have P2, then P4, then P5, P2, P4 and P5. Okay, P2, P4, P5. Yes. Now you see, so among these processes which are available, which CPU will be given to which process? So here what we will see the priority of the process. On the basis of the priority, CPU will be given. You see the priority number of P2 is 0. The priority number of P2 is 0. And the priority number of P4 is 1. And the priority number of P5 is 4. So here what we have made the assumption, lower the priority number, higher the priority is. It means what? The process with lower priority number will be given the CPU first. Okay. So here you can see that P2 has the lowest priority number. So CPU will be given to P2. So here I will write P2. And since it's non-preemptive, so P2 will run fully till its completion. So what's the burst time of P2? The burst time of P2 is 28. So 11 plus 28, I guess it's 39. So P2 will run till 39 seconds. Fine. Are you getting it? Okay. Now you see here. Yes. Now you see here, till 0 to 39 seconds, okay, the task of P2, the task of P2 is also over. It means what? Two processes are completed, process P1 and process P2. Now we have, okay, and till 0 to 39 seconds, how many processes are available? So since P2 is already completed, so just remove it. So now we have P4, P5 and P3 came at 12 seconds. Okay, so P3 came at 12 seconds. I mean at here. So it means what? P3 is also available. Fine. And the priority number of P3 is 3. Okay. So among all these processes, P4, P5 and P3, which process to be selected? Which process to be selected? Definitely P4, because P4 has the higher priority. So here I will write P4. Fine. So now, what's the burst time of P4? So P4 will run for 10 seconds. P4 will run for 10 seconds. So here 39 plus 10, 49. Okay. So the task of P4 is also done. P4's task is done. Among P3 and P5, which process you will select? Definitely P3, because P3 has lower priority number. It means what? P3 has higher priority. So here I will write P3. Okay. And P3 will run for 2 seconds. Yes, P3 will run for 2 seconds. So 49 plus 2, 51. So P3 is also done. So at last we have P5. So here I will write P5. P3 is also done. At last I have P5. So P5 will run for, what's the burst time? 16. Burst time of P5 is 16. So 51 plus 16, 67. So it's a Gantt chart for this non-preemptive priority scheduling algorithm. Okay. So from here we can calculate the turnaround time and waiting time. So let's calculate the turnaround time. So, okay, I will not calculate the turnaround time of all the processes, okay, because you know the formula. So I will calculate the turnaround time of P3 and P5, okay. Because sometimes in the examination they ask question, which process completes first or which process completes last, what is the turnaround of this particular process, okay. They are not going to ask about the average turnaround time, okay. So maybe suppose the question is that what's the turnaround time and waiting time of P3 and P5 respectively, okay. So let's calculate the turnaround time of P3. Turnaround time of P3. So what's the formula of turnaround time? Completion time minus arrival time. Completion time minus arrival time. So what's the completion time of P3? 51 minus what's the arrival time of P3? From here you can find out the arrival time of P3, 12 seconds. So 51 minus 12. So I guess it's 39. So turnaround time of P3 I have calculated. What's the waiting time of P3? Simply turnaround time minus burst time. So here is the turnaround time 39. 39 minus what's the burst time of P3? 2. 37. So in this way you can calculate the turnaround time and waiting time of rest of the processes. Okay. So here you can also check it, how the waiting time is 37 seconds. Let's see. You see P3 arrived at 12 seconds, but P3 got scheduled at 49 seconds. It means what? P3 has to wait for 49 minus 12, 37 seconds to get its turn. Okay. And generally it will not always be in seconds. The answer may be in milliseconds or nanoseconds depending on the questions. Okay, that's why I am telling you to read the question carefully. Okay. So this was all about non-preemptive version. So now let's solve preemptive version. Okay. Now let me rub this. So just you copy it down. Okay, so I am roughing this. Okay. You see, it's a very interesting topic, CPU scheduling algorithm. So practice it, because you always get one question from this topic every year. CPU scheduling algorithm, and also one important topic is left. After that, after CPU scheduling, I will start process synchronization. It's a very confusing topic, but don't try. I will make it easier for you. Okay, you just keep watching my videos. You will find everything easy. Okay. So now let's solve the preemptive version of this question. Here, suppose the question is what's the turnaround time and waiting time of P3. Okay, so let's solve it. I am solving the preemptive version. Same thing, everything is same, but here there will be a preemption. Okay, so let me draw the Gantt chart. I will draw from here. You see, actually I don't know what's this, how much space it will take, so I am drawing from here. I hope it's visible to everyone. Okay, now you see, at time is equal to 0, P1 arrived. At time is equal to 0, P1 arrived. Okay, and you see, after running for, at time is equal to 0 till 2 seconds. At time is equal to 0 till 2 seconds, how many processes are available? P1 has arrived at time 0 seconds, and at 2 seconds P4 has arrived. Okay, it means what? Till 2 seconds P1 and P4 are available. Okay, so you see, so which process should be selected? It means CPU should be allocated to which process, P1 or P4? So let's compare the priority of both these processes of P1 and P4. You see, the priority of P1 is 2 and the priority of P4 is 1. So P4 has higher priority, so definitely P4 will be selected, so there will be a preemption. CPU will be given to P4. Okay, and also one thing to be noted, P1 ran for just 2 seconds now. P1 has not yet finished. Okay, so here the burst time left for P1 is 9. 11 minus 2, 9. Fine. So now here you see P2. So P4. So you see, from second to fifth second, you see, at third second no process is there, at fourth second no process is there, but at fifth second P2 has arrived. So from second to fifth second, how many processes are available? We have P1, we have P4, and at fifth second which process has arrived? P2. We have P2. Fine. So which process should be given the CPU? Among these processes, P1 has a priority of 2, P4 has a priority of 1, and P2 has a priority of, I guess, P2 has a priority of 0. It means what? P2 has highest priority. So CPU will be given to P2. Fine. And you can also see that P2 has the highest priority among all the processes which are there in the table. Okay, and also one thing to be noted, P4 ran for just 3 seconds. Okay, so what's the burst time left for P4? 10 minus 3, 7. P4 ran for 3 seconds, so burst time left for P4 is 10 minus 3, 7. So now you see, since P2 has the highest priority among all the processes in the table, so without thinking too much, you just run P2 completely. So what's the burst time of P2? It's 28 seconds. So 5 plus 28, 33. P2 will fully run here. So the task of P2 is over. P2 is done. Okay. So here I am writing it as 0. P2 is completed. Are you getting it? Once again I tell you why. Because P2 has the highest priority among all the processes in the table. The priority of P2 is 0, which is highest. So no matter which process will come after P2, no matter whether it will be P3 or P4 or P5 or any other process, it doesn't matter. P2 will run completely. Why? Because the P2 has highest priority among all the processes. Fine. So now P2 is done, and you see within 0 to 33 seconds, you can see that all the processes are available, because till now P1, P4 and P2 were available, and you see at t is equal to 12 seconds, P3 has also came. It means what? P3 is available, because this 12 seconds lies within this 0 to 33rd second. That's why. And also you can see that at 9th second, P5 is also there. Fine. So now you see, among all these available processes, so have I left any process? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, all the processes are there. So you see how many processes are available now? 4 processes: P1, P4, P3 and P5. So which process to be selected? So just check the priority. The priority of P3 is 3. And the priority of P5 is 4. So among all these processes, which process has the highest priority? P4 definitely, because P4 has the priority of 1. So P4 will be given the CPU. P4. Okay. And you see, since P4 has the highest priority among all these processes, so definitely P4 will execute fully. Now no more processes will come in the ready queue, because all the processes have already arrived in the ready queue. So we will compare the priority of P4 with all the processes, and we have found out that the priority of P4 is higher than all the processes. So without thinking too much, P4 will execute fully. Okay. So how much burst time we are left for P4? 7 seconds. Okay. 7 seconds were left. So P4 will run for 7 seconds. It means what? 33 plus 7, 40. Fine. So now the task of P4 is also done. So here I will remove P4. So now P1, P3, P5. So definitely P1 has to be selected, because P1 has the highest priority among all these 3 processes: P1, P3, P5. So CPU will be given to P1. And how much burst time is left for P1? 9 seconds. Okay. Oh, here I will write 0, because it has already completed its task before. So yeah. So let's come to P1. So P1 will run for 9 seconds. Okay. So 40 plus 9, 49. So the task of P1 is over. So just cut this, remove this. So now among P3 and P5, which process has the highest priority? Definitely P3. So here you write P3. Fine. So now how much burst time is left for P3? 3 seconds. And also one thing is there, since P1 has fully executed, it's remaining 9 seconds. So here you write 0, because no seconds are left for P1. P1 is done. Now CPU is given to P3, yes. So why? Because P3 has higher priority than P5. So P3 will definitely run will fully execute. So what's the burst time of P3? 2 seconds. So here I will write 49 plus 2, 51. Okay, and it's over. P3 is done. So here I will remove P3. Fine. So now you see only one process is left. I guess it's P5. Yes, only P5 is left. So here P5 will run. Since no other processes are there, so P5 will execute fully. So what's the burst time of P5? 16 seconds. So 51 plus 16, 67. So it's over. So you see, this preemptive priority algorithm will be solved like this. Don't worry, it's not very difficult. I think it's very easy. Rather, it's more interesting. Okay, you should solve more and more questions. And don't worry, I will also solve here some questions. And suppose in the questions they have asked what's the turnaround time and waiting time for say P3, suppose. So let's calculate it. Turnaround time. So now, so just let's calculate turnaround time. So no, let me come here. Turnaround time of P3 is equal to, what's the formula of turnaround time? It's simply completion time minus arrival time. It's so simple. So what's the completion time of P3? It's 51. 51. Minus, what's the arrival time of P3? Arrival time of P3 is 12 seconds. So 51 minus 12, 39. And what's the waiting time of P3? What's the formula? Turnaround time minus burst time. What? So the turnaround time is 39 seconds minus burst time. What's the burst time for P3? It's 2 seconds. Okay. 39 minus 2, 37. So in this way, we can find out the turnaround time and waiting time for the remaining processes. Okay. So this was all about priority scheduling. Don't worry, we will solve some more questions. Okay.